actually got asked to be here because I'm part monkey. And I was running a little late this morning because grooming my husband took a little longer than it normally takes. But seriously, there is an exuberant animal in all of us. And you think about animals and how do they learn? They learn through play. Nobody goes to animal school, and I mean, lions don't read about how to hunt the zebra, right? They wrestle each other, they stalk each other, and that's how they learn to play, and the skills that they learn in play serve them well in their adult life. And this is our natural inclination as humans. You all, I'm sure, know of a couple, some friends of mine actually were just we're expecting a new baby. It was their first child. I'm sure we've all seen couples in this experience where they spend hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on new toys for the child. It's very exciting. And then a few months into it, the toys are all in a box and put away, and where is the baby? They're in the kitchen with all the pots and pans spread out all across the floor, Tupperware in their mouth, right? So our natural inclination is to play, and if we're smart, we'll keep doing it our whole lives, right? And we see this in like the design of our playgrounds as well. There's no sign on the playground that says, step 1, go up the ladder. Step 2, sit down. Step 3, whee! Please turn to the person next to you and tell them, when was the last time you went down a slide? All right. Right, so hopefully it wasn't too long ago. Here's some images here of some people doing parkour, and that's really all that parkour is. It's not anything new. We've been doing parkour for thousands of years. A long time ago, we had to do it or we would die. Right? That's how we got food. That's how we escaped predators. Young, early man did parkour as part of their play, but then that continued into their adult life. But it's experiencing a rebirth now, and I'm sure many of you have seen it on videos and on TV and all of that. And I think the reason it's experiencing this rebirth is there's a huge craving for this type of experience. It's in our DNA to do this. This is what we were meant to do. This is how we were meant to experience our world. But as a culture, we've forgotten that, and so we're not really sure what to do with parkour. Just to give you an example, in my early days training parkour, I used to go to playgrounds a lot, climb around on stuff, and one day I was out there doing that, and the park was packed with children. And they were climbing around. And what was interesting was all their parents were sitting off to the side on the park bench chatting. So I was doing my drills and my practice, which in those days involved a lot of falling down. And this mother came up to me after a while and she said, "What are you doing?" I kind of looked at her children who were doing the same thing I was doing, and I thought it was an odd question, but I said, well, you know, it's called parkour, and here's the Cliff Notes version of what it's all about. And she said, well, I just don't think you should be doing that around children. Here's some more examples. So there's this idea somewhere in our society that we're not supposed to play after a certain age. And I think this is sad. I think what this is doing is it's cultivating a culture of old farts. So, thank you. So here's some old farts. I mean, not old farts. This woman, I'm not going to say her age, but she's older than I am, and I'm older than the students I teach. And she's climbing on a wall, and that's pretty awesome. They say we do not stop playing because we grow old, but we grow old because we stop playing. And we have to ask ourselves, when did we stop playing? When I asked you that question about the slide, I imagine that many of you had an answer that it was a long time ago. Hopefully not too many of you. When I teach middle school, I teach in a middle school that's fortunate enough to have recess still as part of the day, which is extraordinary in this day and age. So the kids get half an hour every day to go outside and run around and get their yayas out, and it's very fun. But there's a large segment of them that just sit around in clumps and talk. And I was talking to them, and I said, what's the deal? Go grab a ball, go play hopscotch, go do something. Well, I'm just not an athletic person. You're 12, how do you know, right? So I was thinking about this, and I think part of where this comes from is we send our kids to organized sports activities at a very early age. And there's nothing wrong with sending your kid to do Little League and all that. There's good stuff in that. But with all the time spent on organized sports, that's giving them a message about what we think is valuable. And there's less time for this unstructured kind of play. So when you have kids who discover that they're not interested in organized sports or they're not good at them, they're left out in the cold. Society says to them, well, you're just not an athletic person. And once that ability to play is lost, it's hard to get back. I know from personal experience, starting parkour at the age of 32, several years ago. And also, when was the last time you saw a jungle gym at a high school? So why do we stop playing? I think it has to do with this attitude that we have in society towards failure. Organized sports generate a system where it's a zero-sum game. You either win or you lose, and if you lose, well, that's just too bad, right? So it's this emphasis on being good at something versus getting good at something. And we need to teach our children that it's more important to get good at something. That's how you be good at something. And so we see failure as terminal, but failure is where the creation happens. And it reminds me of this Chinese fable about a water carrier. She has the pole with the 2 buckets on, the 2 jugs for water. And every day this woman would go to the river and she would fill up her buckets with water, and one of them had a crack in it. So she'd go down to the river, she would fill up her buckets. On the way home, one of the buckets would leak out and it would only be half full. Look how optimistic I'm being. It was only half full. And so the jug, apparently there were talking jugs in this fable, the jug said to her, I'm very, very sorry. I've failed you as a water jug. I have this crack. I can't carry the water for you. And she responded with something very interesting. Oh, I'm going to get all emotional. She said, no, because if you look on the road between here and the river, there's all these flowers that you have watered through your flaw. So just something that I think our kids need to hear more often. And just some end words that I have to read, and I'll try not to cry. Parkour has caught on so well because it reawakens and revalidates play. It accepts us as we are and pushes us to see failures as stepping stones to accomplishment. There's no keeping score. It embodies the Japanese proverb, fall down 7 times, get up 8. We need to make room for both failure and play in our lives. We are exuberant animals. Oh, crap. Almost done. Let's not grow old. Thank you.